On the two-day power outage. Remember earlier on we told you that Energy CS Monica Juma now says that investigative teams are reviewing the integrity of the country's electricity transmission infrastructure with a view to correcting anomalies that could have led to Tuesday's nationwide blackout. Let's get more insights now from Engineer Sami Muita, who's a former KPLC Chief Manager. Engineer, thanks for making time for us this evening. Good to see you have power where you are. Help Kenyans understand this, Engineer. The Kiambere-Embakasi line went down, plunging the whole country into darkness. Help us understand this more.
Actually, the towers that are collapsed near Imara Daima, they bear two circuits, one from Kiambere to Embakasi, the other one from Dadora to Embakasi. So it's a double circuit system that collapsed at once. 4 towers, I understand, are the ones which were vandalized to the point of falling down.
Okay, so as of today, you know, when our teams are on the ground, the line was being still worked on, but at least we know that power has been restored for a majority of homes. In a grid like the one we have in this country, how is that possible?
Normally, a normal situation is if you lose one circuit, you should be able to sustain the system. That's what we call the N-1 reliability criteria. If you lose one circuit, the power swings to the rest of the circuits and it still holds. But if 2 collapse at the same time, then you can't sustain the system. There is no infrastructure that you build with such a redundancy of the N-2. N is the necessary number. The other number you subtract is if one circuit is off, you still have the system running as normal. There are things like those. If you shut one eye, you can still see with the other one. So that's how the system is built.
Okay.
But for this case, the power which was coming from the hydro system will not be fed into the southern part of the city, the south and the north, and areas covering Murorongo, Kitengera, the airport, and parts of industrial area.
Engineer, thank you. You're helping shed light on this and on some rather complex terms. So we now know they are rebuilding those 4 transmission towers at Imara Daima. The CS says they hope to have them up as soon as possible. Realistically, from what you've seen in the past, what might that time period be like, and how much might it cost to rebuild those 4 towers?
The amount of money costing, on an emergency, we first deal with the problem, then work out the budget of that. But it may cost upwards of 30 million for that kind of a restoration. But under normal circumstances, we have some mitigating factors where we use a rapid restoration tower, which had been bought some time back, but I understand they have been deployed into other places where we are trying to elevate the circuits for the development of other infrastructure like the SGRs, or the roads that we are doing today. So they have not been available to be restored rapidly. Otherwise, the works would have been done in a matter of 2 to 3 days. But for now, the other system that has to be constructed will take a little longer.
Okay, I'll take a little longer. Hopefully that explains why some may be experiencing power interruption even at this moment. As we were live on air, a few viewers were messaging saying our lights have just gone off again. Let's broaden the discussion a little bit, Engineer. Reforms in the energy sector ongoing, price reductions being worked on, reorganization of personnel, we've seen people resigning as well, and renegotiations with independent power producers. Is it possible that what we are seeing right now is a reaction to the reforms? We've heard of the term sabotage as well. Is that possible?
I think we can rule out the word sabotage, because if it was a matter of sabotage, you would find the stolen parts, or the removed parts would still be on the ground. But this is a matter of vandalism. People go and sell those parts as scrap metal from scrap metal dealers, and some of the manufacturers of steel, they buy from the people. And I think this is one of the weak areas, because it's not a regulated market where you sell scrap metal from wherever you may get it. So the people are taking advantage of that. And since the network is such a large network spread out through the country, about 4,000 kilometers, you cannot guard at every point at any one time.
But surely, Engineer, I know Kenya Power staff inspect their infrastructure, especially crucial infrastructure like those 4 transmission towers. maybe monthly, if not, at shorter periods, they would have noticed when the level of vandalism would have gotten to a point that could cause an incident like this.
Actually, inspection is done, and they have dedicated special helicopters for that purpose, which is done, can be done even on a weekly basis. But for vandalism, if you do it in the night, a helicopter does not move in the night, neither do personnel do patrols in the night. So for such, it is possible to do the works in the night. I understand the police are doing some patrols. Even some people have been shot at trying to do the vandalism. But I think the area being what it is, where we have what they say, Vijijiduni, that area is vulnerable to attack. And it has happened many times, but rarely do we have self-supporting towers collapsing. But this is one of the incidences. If a wind storm arises, when they are in such a compromised situation, then you can have an incident of towers collapsing.
Engineer, I know our time is almost up, but help me understand this. The Wayleave, the area where government has bought off land from someone to put on crucial infrastructure like what we saw in Imara. But if you saw in some Gituku story, there were nearby, some people were farming close there, there were schools as well and so forth. What's the policy around how near or far structures, especially those that host human beings, should be to the infrastructure we see Kenya Power setting up, like those transmission towers? How close or far should they be?
In simple terms, it's supposed to take about 40 meters on such a circuit. It's supposed to be a falling distance. Those towers, if they fell, they should not fall on another structure, say a building, a factory, or any tree. It's supposed to be from the center line, 20 meters either side.
So that is the policy. Okay, and we'll definitely pose the questions to the duty bearers as a result of that. Finally, Kenyans are blaming Kenya Power for their woes. Are they targeting the right agency, or is it a question of, we hear of others in the mix, Ketraco or any others? Are Kenyans blaming the right agency?
Surely Kenya Power is in the center of it, but of late you know that some staff have been sent away. You don't send soldiers home when you have a war. This is the time you need the people with the institutional memory, the people with the experience and the exposure, the ones who can do the works. They have the skills. They are not the ones who sent home. As you know, many of the people have reached their retirement age and now they are at home. But they are still resourceful. They can be utilized for such a works. So on the complementarity of staff, I think Kenya Power Lighting at this moment has the weakest complementarity, especially on the technical level. You find people serving customers, reading meters. They may be well complemented, but the skilled staffs on technical, they have a very serious compromise.
Okay, those are the views of Engineer Sammy Moito. Of course, part of it could be because of the reforms, Engineer, and maybe there is good reason for that, and we'll definitely try and get audience with the Energy Ministry to help us further understand if there are those challenges as well. And we send hope to have those interviews very soon, right here at Citizen TV. Engineer Sammy Moito, former Chief Manager at Kenya Power, speaking with us this evening. And on that note, we take another break. When we come back, I'll run you through the day's business and sports as well. We certainly hope you've